Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC is now officially out, and though the launch has been a little bit bumpy with people reporting issues left, right and centre, there is one thing that I have been quite happy with regards to the PC version. That is, of course, the photo mode. If you don't know, a lot of games have started to have these, and though this game doesn't have it on console, it certainly does have it now on PC. I apologise if you hear any loud bangs in the background, there are fireworks going off. So I thought, why not make a guide telling you exactly how you can make some awesome screenshots in the photo mode. Because, let's be honest, if you were to just open it really quickly and take a snapshot right there and then, you're going to get some meh photos. Unless you're really, really lucky, that is. It shouldn't be too difficult to do once you get the hang of it, as the entire point of a photo mode is to get these dramatic screenshots really easily. It doesn't take too long to learn, however, if you want to know what works, for me especially, then this video is definitely for you. Now, it took me a while to figure out how to access the photo mode, so what you're going to want to do when you find that shot that you think you want to immortalize in photo mode is pause the game, and in the bottom right corner you have several options. On the far left of those you will see a button that says photo mode. I believe with keyboard and mouse it's F6, however if you have a controller hooked up it's that weird button, the options button if you will. The photo mode is entirely separate from the camera, so please don't get the two confused. So once you've selected the photo mode, you will obviously enter the photo mode where you'll be met with several options that you can adjust to make the picture tailor-fitted to what you want to convey. You can change the exposure, contrast, camera angle, you can make it free aim from the player, you can make it rotate around the player, you can add filters and things, you can change the intensity of the filter, making it more and more transparent to make it actually look nice. You can zoom in and out, you can change the lens. There's a lot that you can actually do with this photo mode, so all in all it's pretty damn decent. I recommend using a controller for the photo mode because the PC controls are just a bit of a mess. I really struggle with those, so hook up a controller and away we go. If not, it shouldn't be too different, you just have to follow the instructions on your screen as you go along with the video, though what you use for input shouldn't matter too much. The first menu you'll be met by is the basic menu, which allows you to switch between orbiting and free cam. In orbiting you will be zooming in and out, and in free cam you will be able to go up and down with the triggers or whatever the PC keyboard equivalents happen to be. There's also an option to reset if you feel like you want to start from scratch. You can also adjust the type of lens and roll, which essentially means tilting the camera angle. And then of course you have the button that tells you to switch to the next menu. The options below the switch menu button are just the same throughout, and what they do is self-explanatory. Next you have the advanced options menu, in which you can change the focus distance, blurring out the background or the foreground, and you can change the strength of that blur. You can also apply exposure by increasing or decreasing it, and you can lock the exposure if you want to go back and adjust other settings without losing your exposure. Then the switch button from here goes on to effects, which is filters and things. Of course, first things first, you can adjust the contrast, increasing or decreasing it. I would argue that you shouldn't really go overkill with this, as too much or too little contrast just looks awful. If you don't know what contrast is the brightness or darkness of the shadows and spaces between colour. The higher the contrast, the more defined the differences are. The lower the contrast, the smoother it will look, but you have to make sure to find a balance, otherwise both can look really bad. Then of course you have your filters and filter intensity, so you can cycle through a lot of filters in this photo mode, and you can also increase or decrease the intensity to make the photo a bit less extreme maybe. As I've found so far, you'll probably find yourself decreasing the intensity 10 times out of 10, and from there the menu cycle button will take you back to the basic menu. If there's one thing I do recommend, if you want to capture a dramatic shot, you've got to bear in mind that when you pause the menu and then go to enter photo mode, it will unpause the game and then go into the photo mode, meaning that you might have a few seconds delay. So my best advice here would be to expect the moment and then take the photo in advance. Another bit of advice is the photo mode isn't just good for dramatic shots, you can also get some really funny ones, as there is a drunk filter among other interesting filters on there, which with the right shot can really make for a barrel of laughs. Another thing worthy of note is you will only have space for 200 photos, whether it be from your camera mode or your photo mode, and they will all be clumped in together. So once you exceed that number saved to the social club, you will have to start deleting some, though I feel like most people will probably save them to screenshot libraries external from the game for ease of access. it is almost certainly something worth bearing in mind. Just understand that if you get too into it, that tedium will inevitably occur. Another thing I noticed is, like I mentioned before, some filters are too intense to even see anything to begin with, so you'll find yourself wanting to reduce things like the contrast and almost certainly the filter intensity, and you get great shots like this. So don't dismiss the filters where you can't really see what's going on. If you reduce the intensity, you might find yourself with something that looks really artistic. Another cool thing I noticed is you can utilize the photo mode during cutscenes, however it is much more limited. So if you're in a cutscene and you think, hey, wouldn't this be cool as a screenshot, you're almost certainly right. And Rockstar knows this, so you can simply pause the game right there and then, head straight into the menu for the photo mode, and from there you can just get your snapshot with the effects menu open, and you can just basically change the effects, but that's kind of it. It would be cool if we could adjust it and rotate around the scene and things like that, however, there's only so much that they can actually do here. That being said, I think we all know that some scenes definitely will not need adjusting other than maybe effects. We all know which one comes to mind here. Furthermore, another thing that you're going to want to bear in mind is where you are and the shot that you're taking, as there's no doubt that some places, angles and things like that will not work for what you want to pull off, and some of these places will look just a little bit too boring for these things. Of course, a major thing to consider would be lighting, meaning for certain shots you're going to want to time it with the right time of day as well. Whether you want to go for a daytime sort of vibe or a nighttime sort of vibe, different things work at different times of day. I would argue that you'd find it a lot harder to pull off a shot at nighttime, however, if it's based around the concept of a campfire being lit, then that will kind of warm the photo up and give you a nice shot. And even then I find that some filters just don't work. However, that's the thing about these things, it's completely subjective. So please do bear in mind that certain things will work at day and certain things will work at night, but some things that work at day definitely will not work at night, and some things that work at night may not work so well during the daytime. Another thing I've noticed is ragdoll physics don't look particularly amazing when in photo mode. Maybe for a comedy idea, but I mean, Arthur Morgan doing Superman off a cliff doesn't really scream dramatic to me. However, just because I can't make it work doesn't mean that you guys won't be able to. Another thing worth considering is finding the balance between artistic and realistic. Since this is a video game, close-ups on characters' faces is sure to look a bit janky. However, with the correct filter, you can sort of make that jankiness go away with an artistic sort of flair. And of course, please pick a decent camera angle, because if you don't, the picture's going to be ruined. In tight interior spaces, you may find this a tad on the more difficult side, but have a decent look around and see what you can find. And finally, don't be afraid to not use certain features if you think that the shot looks better. For example, filters might not be ideal for every single shot. So hopefully this video has been helpful in some capacity as to how you can utilize the photo mode to its fullest capacity your way. Of course, play around with it. Don't just use my techniques. Use your own, figure out what you can do with it, and then, you know, have fun. Please enjoy this collection of screenshots I've taken so far. So, thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your friends and all that wonderful stuff, and I'll see you all very soon with another video at some point.